Hello and welcome to lesson 2.6, Math 2. So go ahead, get your notes ready. We're going to get started. So for number 1, it says sketch f of x equals 3 times x plus 1 squared minus 6 by plotting the vertex and 2 points on each side of the axis of symmetry. So let's go ahead, make our chart here. So looking at this function, we can tell that the vertex is going to be at -1, -6. And what do they mean when they say 2 points on either side of the axis of symmetry? Well, our axis of symmetry is x equals -1. So that just means we want 2 points on this side and 2 points on this side. This is actually the way that I taught you to do it. So you're just going to plot them just like I taught you. So we'll do -2, -3, 0, and 1. So let's go ahead. We can plug in -3. So we do this, we get 2 squared, or I guess I should be -2 squared. You end up with 3 times 4 minus 6, which is 12 minus 6, which is going to give us a positive 6. Then we'll go ahead and do -2. So we get 3 times -1 squared. We get 3 minus 6, which is going to give us a -3. And then I'm just going to reflect my points over my vertex. So we've got our points now. We're going to do -1, -6, 0, -3, and 1, 6. All right, and that is our parabola. So next it asks us to write this function in standard form. All right, so we did this on Friday. So if you recall, the first thing we need to do is FOIL this guy out. So I'm going to go ahead, I'll do my colors. F, we get x squared. O, I get -3x. I get -3x. And then L, I get +9. All right, then I got to combine like terms within my parentheses there. Then I have to distribute. All right, then I just got to combine my last two constants at the end. So I get -2x squared plus 12x minus 17. All right, so for number 3, it says sketch this function by plotting the vertex and 2 points on each side of the axis of symmetry. But you know what, looking at this, I want this in vertex form. And you know what, we haven't learned how to put something with a coefficient in front of x into vertex form yet. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go teach you how to do that, and then we'll come back and do number 3. So all of these problems are asking you to put these standard form parabolas into vertex form. But the tricky part is that there is a coefficient. We learned how to do it when it's something like this, right? Where we had 1 as our coefficient. Now we've got something bigger than 1. So pay close attention. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take out this 2. And we're going to factor it out of the first 2 terms. So I'm going to get an x squared minus 4x. And I'm still going to do that thing where I boot my constant out. So again, how did I do this? I factored a 2 out of here and a 2 out of here. and I ended up with a minus 4 inside and just an x squared. And nothing happens in my plus 14. I just put it on the outside. So now we're going to do what we did before. We're going to take our negative 4 divided by 2 and square it. So that's going to give me negative 2 squared, which is going to give me a 4. So I'm going to add 4 on the inside. But now there's an extra step. I didn't just add 4. I added 4 on the inside. But look, that 4 is being multiplied by 2. So I actually added in an 8. So to undo what I just did, I need to subtract 8. Okay? So to reiterate, because there's a 2 out in front here, I need to multiply these guys, and that's what I'm going to subtract on the outside. Before we would have just subtracted a 4. But since there's a 2 out in front, we have to subtract an 8. All right. So now let's go ahead. We just finish up like we used to. We've got 2x minus 2 squared, and then 14 minus 8, which is going to give us a plus 6. All right, so let's go ahead and try the next one. So again, we have that coefficient here. So we're going to go ahead and factor that out. And look, when you take a minus 3 away from a positive 6, you're going to get a negative 2x. So then we're going to go ahead, negative 2 divided by 2 squared, we get a plus 1. So again, we didn't just add a plus 1, we added in a negative 3. So to counteract that, we're going to have to add 3 on the outside. So let's go ahead and rewrite this. Minus 3, x minus 1 squared, minus 14. Oh, and actually I should be putting these down here. Sorry, so we should be doing like f of x equals 2, x minus 2 squared plus 6. And this guy would have been f of x equals x minus 1 squared minus 14. All right, let's keep rocking and rolling. Next one. Again, my first step is to factor this coefficient out of the first 2 terms. So I get 4x squared plus 4x, and then I keep my 7 on the outside. So I'm going to go 4 divided by 2 squared. I get 2 squared, which is going to give me a 4. Now again, I didn't just add in a 4. I added in a 16, so I have to subtract out a 16. Then we'll go ahead and rewrite it. 4x plus 2 squared minus 9. So we get f of x equals x plus 2 squared minus 9. And then they want us to plot this one. So let's go ahead and make our chart. We're going to put our vertex right in the middle, which is negative 2, negative 9. And we can go ahead, we'll plug in negative, let's do 0. We'll plug in 0. So we've got, ooh, you know what? I forgot to put the 4 out in front here. There we go. So we'll put in 4 times 0 plus 2 squared minus 9, which is going to give us 4 times 2 squared, which will give us 16 minus 9, which gives us a positive 7. So we get positive 7. And then when we plug in a negative 1, we get a negative 5. Now on these, again, you can just do these on Desmos. All right, so feel free to plug these in on Desmos. All right, And then we can go ahead and plug them in, or plot them. So we get minus 2, minus 9, minus 1, minus 5. Oops. And then 0, 7. And that is our parabola. So then our vertex, we already found that, right? That's minus 2, minus 9. This one opens up, right? Up like a cup. The domain is going to be negative infinity to positive infinity. Axis of symmetry is x equals negative 2. Then this is definitely a minimum, right? This is our smallest point there. And then the range is going to be negative 9 to infinity because it opens up like a cup. All right, next one. We got to get this guy into vertex form. So this guy almost looks like he'd be easy to get into vertex form. However, the coefficient isn't 1, it's actually negative 1. So we end up having to factor out a negative 1. All right, and then again, we're going to do negative 8 divided by 2 squared. We get negative 4 squared, which is going to give us a 16. So we're going to add 16 in the into the parentheses there. But we didn't actually add 16. We put in a negative 16. So then to counteract that, we have to add 16 on the outside. Don't forget to redistribute this coefficient. It's very important. So then we'll go ahead, move this guy out of the way. And we will go ahead and write this as a perfect square. And then combine our coefficients. And we're done. F of x equals negative x plus 4 squared plus 6. Then let's go ahead and make our chart. We'll put our vertex in the middle, which is going to be negative 4, 6. So we end up with minus 5, minus 6, minus 3, minus 2. So again, feel free to go ahead and plug these into Desmos. I'll go ahead, I will plug in negative 3. So we get negative 3 plus 4 squared plus 6. So we end up with negative 1 squared plus 6, which gives us minus 1 plus 6, which is going to give us 5. All right, and then if we plug in a negative 2, we end up with an answer of 2. So we can reflect our points. And our vertex is negative 4, 6. Axis of symmetry is going to be x equals negative 4. Remember, it's always x equals your x term of your vertex. Oh, and I should probably plot my points. So we've got minus 4, positive 6, minus 3, 5, and negative 2, 2. And that is our parabola. And this one opens down like a frown, and we knew it opened down like a frown, right? Because our a value here is negative, right? It's a negative 1. So it opens down like a frown, and we end up having a maximum. This is our max here. The domain is going to be negative infinity to positive infinity. And then my range is going to be negative infinity to 6. All right, I'm going to do one more example of this completing the square. So again, make sure you pay really close attention because I know these are a little bit trickier than the kinds we did before. So go ahead, you can go down to number 17 on your sheet, part of the Ready, Set, Go. This one looked tricky, so I figured I would do it. All right, so first things first, we need to factor out this leading coefficient. So we end up with minus 2 x squared plus 6x. close parenthesis, and we'll do our plus 5 on the end. So I'm going to go ahead and take my 6, divide it by 2, and square it. So I get a 9. All right, but again, I didn't actually add in a 9. I added in a negative 18. So to counteract that, I have to add in 18. So now I'm going to write it as a perfect square. I get negative 2x plus 3 squared plus 23. And that would be my answer.